Joining us now on the line is John Lehman, former Secretary of the Navy back during the Reagan years and a senior policy advisor to the Romney 2012 campaign. We want to play, if we could, Mr. Lehman, a soundbite from the last campaign, one of those debates in which Mitt Romney talked about Russia.
This is, without question, our number one geopolitical foe. They fight every cause for the world's worst actors. The idea that he has some more flexibility in mind for Russia is very, very troubling indeed.
Mitt Romney was roundly castigated for holding that position. Do you feel somewhat justified now that there seem to be world events that back up that viewpoint?
Well, I think that was a rather overheated expression of what our relationship is with Russia. We have many common interests with Russia, and one of them is that they are as threatened as we are by Islamist jihadism, and that is, I think, where we coincide in Syria, along with a very different and more adversarial role, because Russia wants to reassert its historic influence in the Middle East, and Putin has taken the opportunity to do just that with this diplomatic maneuver on the chemical weapons. So he's won quite a point here.
Go ahead, please. No.
Well, I was going to say, you call it a diplomatic maneuver. I mean, many people have said that he outmaneuvered the Obama administration and our State Department. Do you agree with that?
I sure do. I think it was it left them flat-footed, and but ironically, it to use another cliche, pulled their chestnuts out of the fire, because they're clearly that Congress was not going to approve a military action in Syria, and so this puts it back where, frankly, it should have been and should stay, and that is with the so-called international institutions. I mean, now there's no question there are tons of, hundreds of thousands of chemical weapons in Syria, and there's no doubt that they were used. Who used them, who gave the command is very unclear at this point. My own personal guess is that it was a government commander, not the chief of state. So that makes it muddy. But now putting UN inspectors and agreed by the government is going to, I think, be a very positive development in slowing down this civil war. And certainly we have absolutely no interest in intervening except diplomatically.
Well, first of all, on that point, some people have said that you'd have to have a lot of troops on the ground to make it secure enough for you to take these weapons and bring them under international control. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, yes, but I think it's in the Syrian government's interest to have international blue-helmeted troops on the ground, or whatever ones are needed, because they're certainly not going to attack them. Then it'll be the rebels attacking the UN or whatever international group is doing it. I think it's a dream to think that we can actually get all those weapons, because they're so scattered and so spread around the country under very dubious command and control in many places, which is another reason why it's not totally clear who actually gave the command. It is conceivable, although it's not my guess, but it's conceivable that the rebels did it precisely to bring about an attack on the regime. So it's going to be a long time before they get control of all those weapons, if they ever do.
All right, let me ask you this other question. Can we trust the Russians to be operating in good faith during these negotiations?
Yes, I think so, because we have a common interest here. They are actually more threatened than we are by jihadism and Al-Qaeda. And, an extraordinary, unprecedented op-ed that Putin had yesterday is made the point very well. You know, Al-Qaeda is my enemy as much as yours.
Yeah.
And so that's what we ought to build on, is the common enemy in dealing with our policy on Syria. The idea of intervening with just lobbing a few cruise missiles, which always have collateral damage, or putting special forces on the ground, it's just crazy.
You talk about a common enemy, but if I'm understanding you correctly, our guest is John Lehman, by the way, former Secretary of the Navy in the Reagan administration. If I understand you correctly, you're saying that Russia's greatest interest is to stop the rebels there from taking over Syria. That would be of great concern to them. And yet, clearly, we are on the side of the rebels, and our biggest interest is to get rid of the current regime in Syria. Who's right and who's wrong?
The Russians are right, and we're wrong. There is no way we can guarantee that if Saddam falls, that the liberals, the progressives,
the moderates. We keep hearing that they're the moderates, the Free Syria
Army. They're going to take control. They never have in a situation like this. Al Qaeda and its affiliates are far more well organized, well financed. And there's just 90+% probability that if the regime falls, that it will first descend into chaos like Libya did after our great intervention there, and that ultimately the well-organized and most ruthless and best financed by Saudi and other money prevails, and then we're worse off.
Well, John Lehman, thank you so much for joining us here this morning. We greatly appreciate it.